and has got himself to 89 in the world. His former career high was 96, and that was just for 1 week back in October in 2018. So massive credit to him for sticking in there. This is the second meeting on the professional tour. Zverev got a gritty win in Miami in 2016, but once again you can see this is not going to be an easier match for the German no matter what. A couple of breakers there. And they did have a little game as well in the juniors where Zverev won that much more convincingly, 6-2, 6-3 over in Nassau and Bahamas. They play in some nice places, these juniors, don't they? Not as nice as Melbourne, as you can see here, though.
No, but it's still pretty good. And there's the temp, and the conditions of a slight breeze. It's not going to really affect. It's not going to affect the players that actually help assist them throughout the course of the match. And so these two know each other. There's no doubt, same age, as you mentioned, Petch at the top. So they've been around, seen each other. But in those last 6 years from that first meeting to where we are now, 7 years later, gee, a lot has happened for Zverev, hasn't it? And it's quite interesting. There was a peak, and then now he's in a stage where he's got to rebuild and build his belief system again, I think. There's no doubt. And during that time, Mark, I'm not sure what you think, but there's obviously the new players that have come in. You've got your Alcaraz, who's one in the world. You've got, you might not be at the end of this tournament, but the young, you got Ruud, you got Rune, you've got a whole lot of players that have turned up. They're doing things a little differently as well. They're not just playing off the back of the court, and you know, so the landscape's changing, isn't it? And it does move very quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match will be
very
the
fast,
best of 5 tiebreak sets.
Might have been 5, but he was throwing in a couple of 120s, 125, you know, in that 120, 130 range, really quietly. And that's the issue, isn't it? Against the top-tier quality player in a big major.
Mmoh to serve.
At the big moments.
Ready, play. Ball.
Moh's an interesting player, Mark, because when you look at him, very abbreviated off both sides, isn't he? It's abbreviated backhand, abbreviated forehand. He's got quite a strong forehand grip. Be interested to see. He's a well-built individual. Be interested to see what sort of speeds he generates, and because the swing suggests that there's not a lot of changes of speed.
$15.
Oh, that's nicely done. It's quite a compact forehand swing, and in the modern game it has become more compact, no question about it. I just wonder whether it lacks just a little more sort of speed through the shot from how he produces it, whether just a little lengthening could get a little bit more pop on it.
Ball. 30 all.
Zach Everton in the front of your picture there. Just he used to travel a little bit with Francis Tiafoe. Soaked up that pressure very nicely, the American.
(40-30).
It looked as though he had a pretty nice game plan there, just waiting to try and get something short from the forehand of the German and then try and attack it.
Game, Mmoh.
And he's got in amongst it early on here, Mo. Of course, this being his kind of second home as well. His mum, of course, Geraldine, moved to Australia in December 2016. He spent many Christmases down here as the American.
He should have been playing that up, shouldn't he? I mean, you've got a hometown audience. They get behind you, and there's an advantage. There's no doubt about that when the home crowd starts riding you out there. It was interesting that just in that first game, Mark, he was prepared to throw the ball up with a bit of flight and off pace, wasn't he? And almost, I wonder if that's going to be a bit of a norm where he's enticing Zverev to step in and throw all the heavy, you know, throw all the heavy blows out there. But that was off his backhand and forehand. Happy to throw the ball in the air.
Alexander Zverev to serve.
Yeah, well, in many ways it makes a little bit of sense, doesn't it, to Zverev's forehand. He puts so much spin on the ball. If he's not feeling it and the balls aren't reacting as quickly through the court, he's going to get something to feed off eventually.
We saw in the first round, Zverev struggled in the first early stages. It was a roller coaster ride, which we've seen in Grand Slams before, in majors, haven't we? In the early rounds, hasn't found his best tennis. Probably in the back end of the fourth and the fifth set, I think that was a little bit more of what we've been accustomed to. But he's had a history of really struggling in the early rounds, hasn't he?
Yeah, he almost plays a little aggressive in the opening sort of set as well, where he kind of hurts himself and then he kind of knuckles down and then he kind of figures out a way to win it and go deep. Obviously, the start of his Grand Slam career were just a ton of 5-set matches.
Ball.
So that's what, Mark, you were talking about, the issue with the second serve, which is well documented. And that ball there, that was almost a nothing serve at 154 kilometres an hour.
It's dad under the towel there, and you've got Mmoh, of course, former world #1 in the doubles from Brazil. Good friends of Sasha and Sergi Peguera, of course, who's on the left of your picture there. A couple of times won the French back in '93 and '94. Furthest he got here was the 4th round.
This year deciding to tone it down with the outfit too, because remember last year came out with the muscle top.
Yep.
I like this fashion statement better.
Game. Zverev.
You've got to pick your battles though, Rod. You actually don't need to pick your battles. You'll be fine anywhere, but people like me have to look down the other end and pick their battles, and I wouldn't be picking my battle with Michael either.
So who's my opponent? Right, I'll go with a long sleeve.
Exactly.
Very wise.
It's important to know your limitations in life.
Yeah.
Love.
Well, I'm not entirely sure that Zverev has got the intensity he needs at the moment. That was a very casual backhand volley. And he shouldn't really have been given a chance, to be honest.
Good celebration.
Deuce.
The work there that Zverev gets on that forehand, he can access that short part of the court. He loves to hit that kind of ball and pull you off the court, and even with Mmoh's great physicality and athleticism, was going to catch that up. And he's got decent pace, there's no question about it, but I remember working on one of his matches here in the past. It's quite straight up and down, his serve. It doesn't have a lot of movement on it. And for somebody like Zverev that likes to return from deep naturally with the wingspan he has, there's a lot of balls that are going to be coming back today. And already a chance here for the 12th seed. It's amazing how many balls Zverev misses into the net.
Into the net, yeah. And they're quite big misses. They're not where he's just clipped the tape. You know, if that was a Novak forehand that missed the tape, hit the net, that's just clipped the tape. Zverev hits them through the middle of the tape, which is concerning. Bit of concern for Michael Mmoh, though, just the way he structures up on the tennis court. Probably shows why his ranking's about where it is too at Petch, which we'll discuss. That's the first time he's gone after a ball, and we saw the result there. It doesn't seem like he can generate some forward pace and speed on the ball, and is happy almost to park himself a long way back and be the retriever. Use a bit of speed, but not much happens on impact with the ball.
Another chance for Zverev to get up and running nicely here. Yeah, and he does so with his favoured backhand. Beautiful three-quarter angle, and Zverev already up an early break here in Melbourne. 2-1.
Zverev leads 2-1.
Yeah, there's a few problems already that are pretty significant, you would feel, for Michael Mmoh. He's potentially going to get some opportunities to get back into this because of Zverev's frailties around the second serve, so all is not lost, but it is hard to see how he's going to be really impactful often enough at the back of the court.
Yeah, you know, if you're playing someone like Zverev, you're looking up and you're watching, and yeah, he likes to stand and deliver and you know, use those big swings and drive the ball, so I'd like to be able to move him around as well, and I'd like to be able to make it physical, and knowing he's coming off an ankle injury and trying to, you know, to reinvent himself, I guess, in a way, I want to make it as physical as I can. But I'm not sure that's the intent of Michael Mmoh at the moment. We haven't seen it early anyway. When he's had a couple of key balls to hit, hasn't been able to do so.
Good news for Zverev, and excellent news for him as well. When he gets that early break in the opening 4 games of a set, he goes on to win it almost 90% of the time. And Michael Mmoh, again, just going back to what we were saying about his serve, it's a good serve, it's got good pace, but doesn't necessarily have enough movement around it, doesn't have enough firepower with the +1 shot to dominate, and you could see the difference when he gets the early break in terms of going on to win the set.
That's better.
Yeah, and it's interesting to watch Zverev. I mean, over the years, you kind of look at players and their sort of tendencies. And I remember doing some work with Hawkeye, probably back in 2017, 2018. 50% of his forehands are missed in the net. It's a very high number.
Extremely high. I wouldn't have said that. I mean, I would have said there would have been it would have been juicy, but not. That's an extreme number at this level.
15-all.
And obviously that kind of filters into some things that he obviously can do a little bit better. I mean, if he built a little bit more height into his forehand at times and took away, you know, 20% of those errors, he's probably also going to get better depth on the ones that he does make over the net, because it suggests, of course, that his net clearance is a little too low.
Third C15.
A couple of poor results there from Mmoh. There was a 147 second serve that he chipped back on the second point, and that one there was 141 and just an unforced error. You know, it's interesting with the serve, Mark, because the first serve, I remember when he first came out onto the tour, and I used to look at his first serve, and the location was really poor. A lot of speed, really worked hard on location and finding a really good first serve, and it's a very good serve now. But the fact that there hasn't been the detail around the second serve has surprised me. Because he spent a lot of time really honing the location on the first. Second serve's been a big issue virtually for his whole career. Well, he wins a point, Mmoh, but again, 157 right to the forehand and decides to chip it back. So it's quite unusual tactics. There's no, for us, we're sitting there sort of thinking that's unusual, but it also shows those 3-second serves, you're probably going to come out on negative if you're playing the real quality player. They're going to take advantage of the lack of direction and movement of that ball.
Got another opportunity here, though. Get back on serve in this opening set. Well, it's a nice finish. Mmoh will be a little disappointed with the elevation that he gave the pass here. It was just a little too comfortable in that regard. Again, you look at lots of things, and you can see how far away he was. There was a lot of space in front of Zverev there to explore and get the ball down. Again, sometimes you feel with the German, he's a little too open stance on that forehand when he wants to come in. It takes him a long time to get that first big step in to start moving towards the net. Oh, that's brilliant net coverage from Zverev. Mmoh did nothing wrong there.
Advantage, Zverev.
Good volley too, that low volley. We've got some inside of the ball, so it was able to just to leak its way out wide, and then that reach with the volley. You've got to look for this volley, and he was. You could see there, he was looking.
Lovely look at that from the side, wasn't it? The split step and then the move on the diagonal. He's underhit that, but the previous one was perfect. He was a little off centre with his footwork. He was giving him the last sort of 20% cross court. If he could find that was too good, but he was in the perfect location. But the split step forward allowed him to move and cut the ball off on the diagonal. And there's that one that Roger's talking about. That was super. Look at this split step forward. And then the left leg can go forward towards the net. Textbook stuff.
Advantage, Zverev. Game, Zverev.
Finally puts the hammer down, finally consolidates that break. Some of the
Zverev
most
leads 3 games to 1.
interesting things about Zverev in terms of his numbers as well at the majors, of course. He was a semi-finalist at the French Open in 2021 as well. Lost to Tsitsipas in 5 sets before that loss last year to Nadal, but hadn't picked up a top 10 winner at a Grand Slam prior to the winner against Alcaraz at the French Open. He sits at 1-12 against top 10ers at Grand Slams. 41 wins and 36 outside of the slams, though. Is that just the 3-set format suiting him better, or is it more the magnitude of playing top tenors at Grand Slams?
Probably a combination of both. I think the 5-set format creates a bit of fatigue for him, you know, through the journey. Hasn't been able to navigate his way through the early rounds, and so just uses a lot of fuel tickets by the time he gets to the top tenor. But and then there's, you know, as you know, Mark, you go 5 sets, there's more time spent out on the court, more time for little things to appear. You have more stress moments of you know, of anxiety and you know, the serve. You mentioned the forehand. These things, they're more present in amongst all of the great tennis that you play.
Some pretty good lift off that second serve, doesn't he, Mo? Maybe Zverev, even with his height, needs to kind of get in closer to the baseline to take it at a more comfortable height. You see the inconsistency on that forehand side. It's all, I mean, as great as his career has been, and it has been, he's been 2 in the world, he's an Olympic gold medalist, it's still got a delta that I don't think the other elite players that he's been playing amongst has had. On his great weeks and when he's played consistently, it's all been very good, but there is certainly Sergi's forehand would have been more consistent than that in terms of the way it's produced and where it lands.
And you probably need it to win this event, don't you? Or the big events. I just think you need it. You need that security around that shot. You kind of look at Mo and you look at his physicality and you look at his athleticism and you expect all guns blazing, don't you? You expect just on the front foot, driving through the ball, and yet you get a guy that's out here that is allowing Zverev to play. Yeah. As we saw on that last point there, had a set passing shot and basically just hit it back to him as a standard volley.
That's too good.
Advantage, Zverev.
His girlfriend Sophia on the sidelines there, and Things starting to look very nice here for Sasha.
Deuce.
And it's interesting with those abbreviated grips. You would think it would enable him to actually stand up on the court and take the ball on the rise. Doesn't need time.
Hold.
Zverev just getting caught a little bit too deep. He is getting opportunity to take the ball on the rise more so than his opponent. And as Roger's been saying, you would like to see the American perhaps just flip that around closer to sort of 35% really, to be honest, to try and give himself some opportunities, particularly off the Zverev forehand, to get into the net. Not convinced at this stage he's going to beat him from the back of the court. That will help him in the one regard that is so important, which is hanging on to your serve, which is 50% of this game.
Zverev
He's done it okay, but not
3 games
perfectly,
to 2.
and that's why Zverev has the break, 3-2. Nice serve there from Mmoh, but let's take a little look through Zverev's second serve here. Talk me through it, Roger.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's a little bit of rock back, and then good. Look at the knee bend that he gets here. That's quite an extreme bit of knee bend. Looking where he lands, he almost lands back on the same spot, virtually. What do you see?
I see a big separation between his racket at the bottom of the swing and the ball at the top of the swing. There's an awful lot of stuff that's got to go well for the racket to meet the ball at the right time, at the right sort of racket. And if you're nervous, you've got a lot of time to decelerate, which is what we see. I'd like to see that ball toss dropped. You can do it. Caroline Garcia did it. Took a meter out of her ball toss. For me, that's arguably one of the hardest things for him to get over it when he's in match, and I think that's a technical issue, not just mental. Just been reminded, of course, that Marin Cilic did it with Goran as well. He lowered the ball toss, straightened it up actually as well. It wasn't just a lowering of the ball toss, he actually straightened it up as well. It was much more of a kick serve for Marin, and
well, his back was getting sore.
And he took the racket out of Roger's hand in that semi. I still remember the stats. 70% of his first serves against Roger in that semis were unreturned. That's going to help.
That's incredible.
Against one of the great returners of a big serve as well.
Yeah.
The ability to block it.
50 love.
Gee, it'd be good to coach Mmoh for about 5 minutes, I reckon. I'd need 5 minutes, Petch.
And what would the Rashid 5 minutes consist of?
Well, I'd just put him on this part of the court and closer to the base. I'll say, okay, I want you to just play forward of this position. When the ball comes to you, just play forward of this position. I want to see what you can do, because at the moment everything's back and it's slow motion. It's slow. Everything's slow, swinging and flight, and I just want to see whether he can actually crack the ball. That would be the first part.
Well, he's showing you there.
30-15.
Again, chipping the return into play, but to win tennis matches really at at the better level, you need offense. You need to be a great defender.
He wanted to hit the smash. Oh, that is sensational. A bit of Zverev sizzle out here in Melbourne.
And it was the best point from Mmoh, but I guess what it does show you is, at the end of the day, when you come into someone's forehand, you almost have to hit the winner, because there was Zverev racing across, his racket's already back there, and he's got long wingspan, and, well, he got to execute, and that was a ripper.
That was some shot. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap if you're wearing one and say, too good. Interesting to watch Mmoh play, isn't it? I remember reading a quote from Nick Bollettieri, because he of course went to IMG, and of course Nick sadly passing away recently, and what an impact he had on this game of tennis as well. Nick, talking about Michael coming to his academy, and just said, like, I just saw the athleticism, and he also just smashed the ball as hard as he could, you know, and Nick obviously had a very good take of that. He'd produced players that did exactly that, using their forehands over the course of the year. But you kind of watch him, and maybe he's just holding something back. But I have to say at the moment that there's not enough firepower, and then you have to look at his quality wins, and just the one coming against Baptiste Tricou, which is an amazing win. Don't get me wrong, in 2018 in Miami. That's where the spin helps you.
30-15.
But that's the only big win that he's had. Of course, that alludes to the fact that he doesn't have enough weapons, that the better players on their solid days are going to get the better of him.
Always a little nervous when you see Zverev go down at the moment, especially just around the ankles, obviously. But even that approach shot from Mmoh came through the middle of the court and allowed Zverev a clean pass. So we're not seeing any, I guess, high risk taking yet from him, are we? Is it there? We're not sure.
Game, Mmoh.
Nice location to serve. Exactly the same scenario as the previous service game. Finishes it off with an ace, and he keeps himself in contention in this opening set, just the game behind. I mean, and if you are listening at home and you're wondering why it feels as though we're perhaps being a little critical, or maybe in your mind are overly critical, the thing is, when you play good players, you've got to have hopefully something that can beat them on their good days. You can't just be reliant, and you're not sitting there as a coach, if you're Zach, who's looking after Michael at the moment, you're not sitting there just to hope to get some wins against the player on their bad days. You're trying to work and strive to get to a situation where your players got the capabilities to beat the good players on their good days, and that's kind of what we're saying at the moment. It's like, probably from when I saw him play Rafa here in 2021, I wouldn't say that his body's been good. He used the pandemic incredibly wisely. His shoulder was causing him huge problems for a long time. He put 4 months of incredible work in to rehab the shoulder, and his body's been good, and the results have been picking up on the Challenger Tour and everything else. So the graph is looking good, but you sort of think, okay, well, you're going to be able to play from 75 to 100 by playing a blend of Challenger and Tour events. Are you going to be able to to insert yourself deep into some of these draws, which is obviously the goal when you're still 25 years old, if you're Michael.
100%. I think you've hit it on the head, and I guess we're saying that also because there is upside.
Yeah,
you can just see it. There's actually legitimate upside if someone was there to sort of map that out. Maybe they are talking about it. Executing it may be a little difficult. But you're right, you can see that his game can beat a lot of people in that range of 200 in the world to 75 in the world, and he can have his moments, but it's what does it look like next? Is it good enough for the next level?
30 love.
Should be a nice game for this for Zverev with the new balls. We have talked a lot about how they're quick out the can here as well, and for a tall guy he doesn't have to force it when they're this new. He can just try and locate it close to the line and let the ball do the work.
Game Zverev.
I don't know if he's going to have as many clean games as that as the tournament goes on, but that was nice of him to highlight it.
Zverev leads 5 games to 3.
One of you of the back goes on that side, please.
I wonder about tennis sometimes. Like, you know, we do 7 and 9 games, but you know, 7 and 9 games could be anything, couldn't it? In terms of time.
Exactly.
I think we should change balls at a time. You know, what's the optimum that a ball lasts? Is it half an hour?
20 minutes.
Yeah, half an hour, 20 minutes. What, you know, do some studies. What's this ball? What's its optimum length of time before it starts degrading?
Good point. Makes sense. You put 2 heavy spinning hitters that stay on the baseline there for 9 games.
Trying to thread the needle. Yeah, because I'm all about the product. I'm all about the entertainment. I feel like there's a lot in this sport that we're not doing that we could do. But obviously, if the ball degrades too much, it's very tough for the players out there to then give the entertainment value that the fans want because the ball's not doing anything.
Yeah, that's right. We do like a ball that's got some action, don't we? That reacts.
Ball.
And that, incidentally, is across the board, not just obviously here in Australia, but Miami, Indian Wells, Wimbledon, US Open. Oh, yeah. He's landed that right on the runway.
15-all.
Got to be careful when you come in and play this shot because, look at that, it's got a lot of elevation and time, and Zverev having an option. One was the air above. He's quite stiff, isn't he, with his hands, Mo, when he comes forward to volley as well.
Ball.
Oh, that's nice.
$30-15.
And as you play, I think you've got to be able to, you've got to have the street smarts to be gathering data in your own head of what works, what doesn't work against an opponent. Let's hope that last play was collected.
It's interesting how many balls you suddenly notice go in the net, right?
Yeah, and with the location, halfway.
I mean, that ball has no right to go in the net. You're not trying to hit a winner. I mean, you want to clear the net by almost 1.5 meters to get the length on it from where you're hitting from on the court.
Ball. Out. 40-30.
See where that landed again from Zverev. Just keep your eye on how many balls he does get a good 1.5 meters past the service line, and how much pressure Mmoh feels from that particular one. He can hurt you short, doesn't often hurt you too deep.
Game, Mmoh.
3 games in a row, Mmoh's managed to finish off his service games with an ace, but he got an ace up his sleeve to figure out a way to break Zverev here right at the end of this opening set. The German will serve for
5 games to 4.
Mmoh went 20 wins and just the 4 losses from September at the back end of last year. Really put together some nice results, some very strong challenges over there in the US as well. While growing up in Saudi Arabia, also found his love of basketball as well. Is actually named after Michael Jordan. He was up early, always an early riser in his teenage years, up shooting hoops or playing tennis. His dad, of course, Tony, was a former pro, just finished outside the world's top 105. He was his career high ranking.
Time.
And his idol growing up was Andy Roddick. Right, it's been 45 minutes of play here. Zverev will be pretty happy, and after the arduous journey that he took in his opening round match, I'm sure Sergio Bruguera had said, well, if you can, it would be very nice for you to get through this one in 3 sets. Let's keep something for the rest of the tournament.
Ball. Left second service. Ball. Love 15.
Second double so far for Zverev.
That's a beautiful shot, isn't it? There's the difference between the two wings. Doesn't often look like he's going to get that shot wrong.
And a shot that was engineered more by his mum than his dad.
Blame the dad for the forehand. Is that what that means?
Not at all. Yeah, to get me in trouble.
He's hiding.
And that's where I talk about the separation between the racket and the ball coming down. It's dropping fast, obviously, by the time he's got to get up there and meet it. And if you don't swing fast enough at it, you're late getting there. It's low, it's crouched, and all sorts of things can go wrong.
But the racket head speeds, it's interesting. It doesn't quite make sense, does it?
The adventure starts again. opposite left to track it. I have to say that Zverev out to his forehand side there looked a little slow.
15-14.
It was just like it was like all the nerves have just turned up. Yes, looked slow to go out there. The ball that came off his racket was short and flighted and sat in the middle of the court. Interesting game. When surely he must have felt that he's totally in control on the tennis court.
Out. 30-14.
Still taking those tentative steps back to where he was in the game. Second break point of the game, third of the set for Mmoh. And there's the break back. Well, he was offered the opportunity and he was good enough to take it. Credit to the American.
5 games solid.
That was out of nowhere, wasn't it, Mark? I mean, if you were Zverev, surely he would have felt really comfortable on the court, wouldn't he? Up until that point.
That's what we saw at the United Cup, and we've seen it again here in Melbourne. Can't close out the opening set.
Love 15.
This is what you don't want to do if you're in Zverev's shoes, is just allow your opponent, who's never been past the second round, to suddenly feel comfortable in unfamiliar surroundings. But that's exactly what's happening here. Mmoh growing in confidence, and Zverev's grip of this opening set just slipping for the moment. Perfect.
So there's a bit of belief now on the other side of the court.
13.
And it's interesting because the greats, and we're not putting Zverev with the greats, but when they're ahead, they put the foot down. You don't get to breathe at that 5-4 game. They own that game. Very hard to be let back in.
14-15.
Has served very well as well to stay in contention, as we've been saying in this opening set, having gone down the break. And that has also been a contributing factor to the fact that he's about to go up 6-5 in this opener.
Game, Mmoh.
Well, there's a staple dart of aces on game points for Michael Mmoh, and that trend continues.
Mmoh leads 6 games to 5.
And it's Zverev who finds himself in a little bit of a hole. Mmoh leads 6-5.
Well, full credit to him, because he's just hung around. We've been talking about his game, how could he impact the contest? Well, he was allowed to impact the contest because the match has really been played on Zverev's side of the court. Has the ability to dictate it how he wishes to, not getting pushed around. And then there was a big stumble, a hurdle. Started with the serve, and then because of the serve and the double faults and how they were hit as well. If you've gone for an aggressive serve and you've missed it, you can take that. But when you drop one in there in the one teens, it then plays on the rest of your game, which we saw there. So this will be an intriguing game for Zverev to come out and serve. He definitely needs a first delivery mark on this opener, you would think.
That's exactly what he's done as well. If you do move in a little too close to the baseline, he does have a tendency to go big with his second serve, Zverev, so maybe Michael also hanging back for that reason.
$15 all.
I wonder if Mmoh's picked up on the forehand side.
Perhaps that's why he tried to guide it there, because he has picked up on it. It's definitely the much harder of the two options. Tough to hit. Yeah, tough to hit passing shots from Collins Street, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Doesn't matter how good it is. If you've got someone who's can move and understands the front part of the court, they're generally going to come out on top in that situation.
A little bit of the fake with the ball toss there. That was going a little left, almost as going to hit a three-quarter kicker and just slid it down the tee.
6-game all tiebreak.
That is a pensive-looking player's box right now, understandably so. See, he was trying to get the depth, but it was just awkward. And there's been a lot of people that say, why doesn't Zverev play closer to the baseline? I mean, there's two factors there. One is height. If he plays too close to the baseline, it comes through at a very low height for him to hit his shots from. And the second one is because he hits his forehand so short so often that actually if he played close to the baseline, he would be getting attacked so quickly.
Yeah.
Led for service.
Interesting start to the breaker for Michael Mmoh. It was the fastest serve by some margin. He tried on the opening point at 217. He's tried to absolutely leather that forehand. Something a little bit different from the American so far.
Two, 1, Zverev.
Beauty, an absolute beauty.
3-1, Zverev.
We've seen a mixed bag from him off that forehand side, but in a big moment there, he saw some angle and he went after it.
Led for service.
Definitely decided to go bigger after his serve in this tiebreaker. Mmoh, it's going to be interesting to see how many first serves he can make if he's going to continue that trend. That one at 210.
Got caught, didn't he, Mark? He was a little bit unsure how to play the point. So he's just got a little wound up in this tiebreaker, hasn't he? You mentioned the big serve. He's gone bigger with the serve. There, he almost thought about coming in and working out that, oh, no, it's not the right option. Then got caught in a vulnerable position on the court. And that's a pretty sound backhand.
Got him on a piece of string there. That was fabulous. There was some super movement as well. Lightning fast from Mmoh to be able to get up there and pick it up, but Zverev just too many options off the reply from the American. Calm as you like. A lot of people would have probably just panicked and watched the ball, but he knew exactly where Mmoh was. Flipped it in behind him. Nice camera work. And it probably felt in slow motion to Zverev.
Bit of freedom there in that hitting, is there? There's a big gap in the tie break. A lot more relaxed.
Any sense that he was telling them that he was feeling anything in his left leg there, or the hamstring, or not?
I missed that.
Game in first set. Zverev. 7 games to 6.
Some cause for concern for Zverev after the triumph of taking that opening set on the tiebreaker, and one wonders potentially what that may be. No chat to the umpire in terms of getting the trainer out for the time being. German are set to the good. Keep an eye on that for the time being as we take a little wander through the credits of the opening set. And, well, just a few too many unforced errors, not offset with enough winners. It isn't easy to hit those winners and get those winners out there, but 7 forehand winners from Zverev, and we talked a little bit about his forehand and the unforced error count. If you give him a bit too much width, and we saw it in the breaker there, he is able to exploit that with the way he hits his forehand. You won't see too many players that are elite level against him give him too many of those kind of nothing balls out wide. That's where he's going to hurt you.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And we see here through the start of this match, we couldn't see how Michael Mmoh was going to put a dent in the Zverev game, because it was always played on his term, and the defender was Michael Mmoh. We see here through a whole host of shots, but then it doesn't take much in this game to turn on its head. A little bit of vulnerability there with Zverev, and well, he did a good job in the breaker of settling things down.
Second set. Zverev to serve.
It's a big test for Michael here at the start of the second set.
Thank
Trying
you.
to get in amongst it very early here rather than getting behind as he did early on in the match. 2-1 down, early break. Did well to make the opening set as competitive as he did. That was perfect.
Yep.
And he was up on the baseline like where you wanted him to be.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the only way forward. I think it's the only way forward beyond this match. This match is just an isolated moment, but you're just looking at the career of a 25-year-old trying to continually push forward.
Love 30.
And it's quite a concern. It's a bigger concern than you think, this second set, because he's not playing an elite returner. You know, the pressure of the returner is not present.
Got him. It was too short on the approach. Gave Mmoh a chance.
Got this one, didn't he get it to an uncomfortable position? He was quick to come forward, acknowledged that he was probably going to get a short reply off the volley of Zverev there in plenty of time.
Three break points. Great start for the American.
Game, Mmoh.
Good resolve being shown out here.
First game, second serve.
And there'll start to be a little real genuine belief filtering through the American. Yes, he lost the opening set breaker, but he's just been right there for the last sort of 20-25 minutes. He's not getting outplayed, he's not getting outclassed. More importantly, he's not actually getting out hit anymore.
Yeah, that's the number one piece, that he's actually been able to play a bit more offensive. It was an interesting game though, wasn't it, from Zverev, because normally you had a little lull, you got through the tiebreaker, you're serving, you need to play a big game, don't you? I need to stick my chest out and I'm the guy. Littered with a few unforced errors and another double fault.
Months. Bold. On. Third, 17. Bold.
Zverev making his presence felt in that particular rally. And can Mmoh dial up some of these aces that we saw in the opening set on some big points, particularly on the game points? 4 out of the 5 aces came on game points, but this is a pressure point here.
Bold. Thirty, 40.
Well done. Edgy stuff, did well.
What happened there? need to take another look at that, because that was extraordinary. This here, the squash shot, and then, whoops.
He just got too narrow with his base, didn't he?
Yeah.
Actually just got too narrow and ended up on his heels and rocking back, but thankfully his world wasn't rocked.
Led for service.
Yeah, a good smart play, wasn't it? Because his opponent was a long way back.
Advantage, Mmoh.
The forward part of the court was available to him. See there, look. Zverev taking that backward step initially.
Done well there. Interesting to watch Zverev after he hit the forehand line. He wasn't totally convinced it was going in. And again, I think that just kind of intertwines what we've been saying here, that he hasn't got the confidence in that shot at the moment that he would like to. But no such problems again with the backhand. Excellent length, easy pickings. Mmoh desperate to try and forge ahead here in the second set, 2-love. Punishing rally. Zverev comes out on top. Both players with chances.
Advantage, Zverev.
Did a neat job with the slice backhand, getting it back to a good length. Length is your friend on a tennis court. Just can protect yourself even if you can't get the pace that you would like to. Second chance to break for the 12th seed. And a second break point that's come and gone.
Yes.
Getting a little bit more ambitious as well. We're seeing a little bit more variety from Mmoh. With the previous serve on that ag court, he served a kick serve. This time it was a serve volley down the middle, sliding the ball. So we're seeing, showing us a little bit more to his game, isn't he?
Advantage, Mmoh.
Fastest serve of the match that he's landed. And we saw this earlier in the match. Once he converts the early break, he goes on to win the set just over 50% of the time. It's not the highest number here, and you can see why. Zverev in the opening set did win the opening set when he got the opening break to go up 2-1 in the end. So this is definitely not a done deal as of yet. That game is
Mmoh.
Mmoh thwarts Zverev's ambitions.
2 games to love.
And the American lucky loser, who's playing with house money here in Melbourne, perhaps can keep the dream alive.
You know, Mark, I always feel with Zverev as higher quality tennis player that he is and his results, I always feel like you're a chance on the tennis court. You know, you look at the players around in and around his. You know, we look at Alcaraz as he's coming through. Okay, he's now won a major, but he sort of punishes the ball and he makes you feel uncomfortable on the court. Tsitsipas can do that as well. We can take. Tsitsipas can play that, you know, forward half game. And such variety. He can get on top of you. And with Zverev, I feel like, gee, I'm actually in the. I get myself in rallies. You know, I feel like I'm competing well. It's a different type of mentality when you stand up the other end, just through my eyes.
30 love. Third 15.
That's good play. Got on top of the serve and directed it down into the forehand side, and once again that ball finding the net halfway up. In that time it was quite interesting because Zverev was virtually standing in the forehand region, opting to look for his backhand on 2 different occasions. A lot of uncertainty on his side of the court at the moment.
Bit of hard work ahead of Zverev still, even from a setup here. He's got to recapture the break. Mmoh making his presence felt. 2-1. We were chatting a little bit at United Cup about how long you give Zverev until you kind of feel if he's back to his best, or if the ankle's still potentially a bit of a limiting factor for him. What do you think, Roger? How long would you give him? Where would you feel as though, okay, that's long enough to now know that you can be back to where you're in a position to be top 3 in the world again?
How many events has he played since the return?
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
Yeah,
so
yeah, played an EXO.
I think you've got to give him through until Miami.
Yeah.
Once you've gone through that period of that first third of the month, first third of the year, I think or quarter, we'll get a bit of a gauge. If he's able to get enough matches.
Also just seeing the quality opponents play against him. You know, how the ones that can push him out wide to, the forehand. He just looks a little laboured at times getting out there, but it's not everyone that's going to be able to exploit that to the degree that others can.
Yeah, and also, it's, mentally, everyone's different. When they get injured, they've got a little problem. Some people just get straight back on the horse and away they go. They trust themselves 100%. Some become a little bit. They become hypochondriacs. of their own body takes a little bit more time.
Mmoh looking to become the 5th lucky loser to reach the 3rd round at the Oz Open. Glenn Leyendecker did it in 1991. Amir Delic in 2009, and Martin Klizan and Stefan Robert both in 2014. It's not something that happens too often, and it certainly won't be easy from here on in.
Line for service. $50. $15.
Obviously, the ankle injury that he sustained at Roland Garros has kept him out. It's also kept him out of the winner's circle. His last title coming back in Nitto ATP Finals 2021. Beat Medvedev in the final there.
Gee, that was smart, wasn't it? Your opponent's a long way back. Generally, just drives the ball. So he took a bit of pace. 159 off that serve. Got himself close to the net, close enough to the net, and was always going to get a volley around that waist height.
I'd like to see him volley a little bit further out in front of his body, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's more of a guide than it is a kind of go meter.
$40-15.
He's made 8 quarter-final appearances in his career, has Zverev.
$40-30.
Well, he plays with a pretty full forehand grip, but that was smothered, that one. Didn't really play that with any intent. Didn't even look like he was going to come forward.
Advantage, Mmoh.
Adds a couple of Ks to his fastest serve of the day with that one, but the more valuable aspect was the ace. The 7th one of the match. That's how important depth is to the Zverev forehand. If he can find a bit of depth, he can soften them up, he can get a weaker reply with less on it. That's such an important shot for him in my book. Did nicely with the feet there, takes the ball on the rise, often gets caught a little bit too deep, and the ball's dropping, which also contributes to more spin on the ball.
Advantage, Zverev.
And for a second American service game in a row, Zverev looking to try and break with the opportunity of a break point. Again up on the baseline. Good anticipation on the cross-court shot there from his opponent. Can he anticipate the serve? And he does, and he is back into this second set, threatening the opening Mmoh service game. Breaks through nice and quickly here in the second. Mmoh will be a little disappointed with his offering on that first volley.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Look at this one here, and he's got quite hard hands, got a stiff volleying technique, so doesn't really hit it with any real purpose. Doesn't hit it to look like he's just placing that back, and you can't do that against the caliber of Zverev. You know, it's interesting, we look at Zverev, we look at Dominic Thiem trying to come back. Hasn't been able to make that transition back. Obviously out for a lot longer. Finding a little bit of his better tennis. But hasn't been able to get the belief system back, has he? They lost the locker room presence as well. Where players think, oh, well, I'm playing that type of player. You know, I feel like Zverev might get into that space.
Oh, he got hit. That's a sign of good luck, though. They mistook it. They mistook the tip of his head for a nest.
You need a bit of luck, son. I think I'll just drop one on top. I've been watching you over the last few months. Send in the cavalry.
Might have just thrown him off his stride a little bit there.
Love 30.
I guess it's better than copping it in the eye on the serve, isn't it, Patch?
For sure. Oh, yes. A little bit of magic.
15-30. Thirty-on. Thirty, 40. Game, Mmoh.
They trade breaks, and it didn't come as a surprise to pretty much anyone here. 116 Ks that did not go in at, and Michael Mmoh goes into the changeover, back up a break. Good feeling as well, Roger, that what was incoming earlier in the game was probably a little bit quicker than what was incoming at the end of the game, to be honest. As we take a little look back at this slightly unfortunate situation there for Zverev. A little local wildlife depositing something.
Didn't help.
Yeah, you see.
They normally get, it's supposedly the good luck charm.
That's selling smoke, that is.
Yeah, it is.
That's all that is. It's just like, because it's horrendous luck, but somebody tried to sell it in a way that you're going to get good luck down the road. It's it certainly didn't work out for Zverev, as Michael Mmoh's good fortunes continue at this year's Melbourne. Lost in the last round of qualies, got in after he'd rebooked his flight back to America, and here he is, a break up against the 13th best player in the world.
You know, I chase every day. I chase a flock of birds.
Do you?
I follow birds. Just you know.
Sure you do.
I want the odd dropping. I need some luck, Pitch.
Well, first time around he did consolidate the breaker serve. Just how much of this patchy play from Zverev is eroding his confidence. That's good. He's a great mover. Got a few limiting factors in his game, but there is nothing limiting about the way he gets himself around a tennis court.
No, this was powerful, wasn't it? The first couple of steps. Just feeling a little freer on the court too, isn't he?
$15.
There's been a couple of times there, awkward volleys. Look at the racket, it's behind his line of sight. It's not out in front of his body looking, he's not looking for the ball out in front. That racket should be a metre further in front almost.
Out. 30-15.
And if you're volleying with your racket alongside of you, it gets, you lose sight of the ball at some point. It's not how we were taught to volley.
Yeah, that's good. He's managed to punish that particular one.
40-15.
And he's got a great attitude. Whatever's going on out there, he is looking at it on a positive light.
Yeah, well, he really got after this. Look at this, the first time he's really thrown himself aggressively at the ball. Yep, I'm a believer.
Game, Mmoh. Mmoh leads 4-2.
And what Zverev does, he gives you enough looks, doesn't he? He keeps the door open. Continually keeps the door open.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point you make. I don't think he ever totally takes away your hope that sustains you in the match. There's a lot of players that you know that the match is over. You always feel that there is a chance that you can get back, particularly at the moment.
$15.
He's had so many great things happen, as I say, 8 quarterfinals already in a Grand Slam. Becker, of course, the iconic figure from Germany, 23. Michael Stich had 10. He's equal with Tommy Haas.
He didn't move well there and actually grabbed his hamstring as well, his left hamstring, immediately put his left hand on the back of his, look here.
Yep. And there was an indication of that at the back end of the first set, wasn't there, when he was talking to the box. Oh, he's in trouble. He's in big trouble, I think, Zverev here. That is a sweet little bit passage of play, though, from Michael Mmoh as well. But at the same time, there is definitely some problems mounting here physically for Zverev.
Yep, and there's the confirmation. I wonder if his opponent picked up on any of the last 2 points.
Out. 40-30.
Good stretch. And a good end to the game for the German, who is hanging on here. Michael Mmoh, 4-3, second set. Interesting to see that he hasn't called the trainer out. He's clearly got a problem with his left hamstring. It's been there for a while, and yet we're not getting the appearance of a trainer to potentially do something about it. Would that suggest to you in any way that the problem was there before he came out on the call?
Good call, potentially, but there's no strapping, or there was no sign of it until late in that set.
Well, to be fair, I don't have any X-ray vision, so I don't know if there is any strapping, because he's got those cycling shorts on underneath there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it is a bit, it's a bit unusual that he wouldn't get a trainer out at that stage when it's clearly bothering him to come out if he didn't have that and carried it into the match. And he's spoken to his physio Hugo, and he said, well, this is it, this is what you can deal with, and just try and manage it the best you can. I don't know.
And even sitting on the change of ends, there wasn't a lot of eye contact between he and his group. So generally, if there is concern, you're making some visual contact, aren't you?
Well, the one thing you want to do if you're Michael Mmoh in this situation as well is actually try and move your opponent around. You don't want to get too passive. And with Roger, I'm not sure how much he's actually observed the fact that Zverev has an issue down the other end at this stage.
15 love.
I'd be confident in saying that he hasn't seen it.
And maybe in some ways that will be easier for him. He can continue just to play the way that he is right now, serving very nicely in this second set. Over 70% of his serves going in. stare down. And if you're going to take it at someone, make sure you hit them.
Yeah. 100%. This here wasn't hit with the currency that it should have been on that ball.
Haven't seen too many of those today, which is why I caught Zverev a little unguarded.
Ball. 40-15. Ball. Out. 40-30.
It's interesting how many balls Zverev takes that are in the middle of the court with his backhand, isn't it? Trust that shot more.
Super finish.
Mmoh.
And there's an undeniable logic to the way that Michael Mmoh is playing it right now. Longer rallies, extend Zverev, test him physically. And it was a heavy-footed Zverev at the end of this run.
Yeah, it was, Mark. There's no doubt about that. He had to cover a lot of territory, then try and explode to this one and deciding to pull up. That was the key thing there. And you can see the comfort level of Mmoh now on the tennis court. He's happy to... He feels pretty stable out there. It's a nice shot. He's been able to do that well throughout the course of his career. Get down really low onto the backhand side. Stays committed.
Well, he's a tough nut, there's no question about that. Zverev, after double faulting 20 times against Felix Auger-Aliassime at Wimbledon, he then went on a 16-match win streak that included, of course, winning the gold medal over in Tokyo before losing in the semis of the US Open. He's going to continue to fight if his body keeps giving him a chance.
30-15. Thirty.
Forehand's like a box of chocolates at the moment, isn't it? Just don't know what's coming. And it's not particularly sweet either. It's got a bitterness about it.
Yes.
Dad looking on, wondering what the future holds for his son.
Bold. Advantage, Zverev.
Well, you love to see players that sort of try something different, but you do have to question why at that stage you're going to try and do the first crush and rush of the match.
Game, Zverev.
And in doing so, gave Zverev a very easy point at deuce, and the German somehow scrambles out of that difficult situation. Mmoh will serve for the second. And it'll be interesting to see if his nerve holds. This is a big moment for him, obviously. He's looking to try and obviously get the biggest win of his career. He's trying to get through to the third round of a major for the very first time. And he'll be understanding that the longer this goes on, the more he feels comfortable, the more perhaps after that epic opening round match for Zverev, because he hasn't had a lot of matches under his belt recently, that things could suddenly, the tide could turn very heavily in favour of Michael Mmoh here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you've got to look at the history leading into a match, and for Mmoh, he would have seen that was if they did their homework, they would have gone back and had a look at that match from Zverev and seen it was a roller coaster. Yep, not playing
Time.
the tennis that we're normally accustomed to watching him play.
Third German to win the Nitto ATP finals as well, of course. Becker won it 3 times, Michael Stich won it. And of course, a 5-time winner of Masters 1000 events, Zverev. He has been elite all the way through his career. He was top 10 3 consecutive seasons before his 22nd birthday, which is not an easy feat at all. Nor will this be, trying to rescue this second set.
Bold.
again, struggling to get out to that forehand side. It was better from Mmoh, though, because he stepped inside the court, took it on the baseline and was aggressive with the ball. Just think that's such a better version of him.
He's getting very used to Zverev's pace, isn't he? And the rhythm of the points now as well. Locked in. It's Michael Mmoh. And he's about to make his move here. Triple set point. Feel-good feeling for American men here at the Australian Open continues. Michael Mmoh takes the second set off Zverev, 6-4. And that was a very solid game. That was tested in all departments there, Michael Mmoh. There was some good returning from Zverev, and Mmoh was far superior, it has to be said. Rock solid. And that is now going to make things very, very interesting and very difficult for Zverev as well, if his opponent can keep that kind of level of performance going.
No, there's no doubt about that. From breaking in the first, straight up at the start of the second set, he continued on. He held his nerve. His tennis got better. He got freer on the tennis court. And you have a look at these numbers. You know, the unforced errors from Zverev, the 18 unforced errors, and yeah, that's just not a good number in one set of tennis. And well, in a match, virtually at this level, you know, the best players, they don't like to see those numbers in front of their names, let alone one set. It just gives, as I mentioned during that set, Mark, it keeps the door open all the time, creates opportunities. We saw there a little bit of acrobatics, not by design, but what Michael Mmoh shows us is he's competitive. He offers a great attitude on the court. We haven't seen any negativity on the court by him, and he's opened up and played some more shots, more offensive off the back of the court as well with his court position at times, and so we're seeing the better version of Michael Mmoh in that second set, and now he's right in the thick of it.
Third set, Zverev to serve.
So just a couple of sets gone, and they've been lengthy ones. We've just already about to tick over the 2-hour mark here as Zverev steps up to the line to continue his campaign here in Melbourne.
$50. 30 love. Ball. Third C15. Fourth C15.
Just felt he needed that as a breather.
Game, Zverev.
Positive
First game,
start.
third set.
And the good news, if you're a Zverev fan as well, of course, is the fact that he's still out here. He has not called the trainer. He has got some sort of problem with his left hamstring, but obviously not significant enough for him to decide that A, he needs treatment, or B, that he's potentially going to pull out here.
And it's quite interesting because when you do strain a hamstring, you tend to continually feel it. It's not something that goes away once it's there, and you. So if there is a little strain there, they tend to. They're there. They let you know about it.
Tried to use his forehand a little bit more last season in the abbreviated part of it that he had, of course, and it was doing pretty well for him for the most part. 60% of the time using his forehand compared to under 50% in 2021. Although I'm sure when you're sitting there trying to work out his best style of play, when you look at his backhand, you kind of feel as though that should be hit almost with the higher frequency.
Love 15.
Drills his 9th winner off that backhand side compared to 11 on the forehand. And an urgency about Zverev's start to this third set.
Ball. $15 all.
A nice second serve, good location, broke away. Yeah, but I'm really looking for, you know, if you're sitting in the camp for Zverev, you want to see a change. You want to see him step up and actually take a little bit of control on the tennis court here with his ball striking. You've got to shift the way this seesaw's rocking at the moment. And that's not going to help. It's just too comfortable for an opponent who's, as you mentioned, Mark's a lucky loser, saved a match point, was on a plane.
Out. 40-15. Game, Mmoh. New balls, please.
Doesn't flinch at the start of the third set. Any other time Mmoh's won a round at the Grand Slam, that was back at the US Open in 2020 as well. Got himself through to the second round there. He's lost first round of Wimbledon once, a couple of times at the French Open as well. 3 times he's made it through to the second round here in Australia, the most of any of the slams, and a place that he calls his second home. Actually been staying in my hotel, but given the fact that he won his opening round, I actually don't know if he's still able to stay there because it was blocked out. So I don't know if he's actually ended up having to move somewhere else, or they managed to find him a room.
Good problem to have for him.
Yep.
Means you're still here and you're alive and breathing.
Love. Out. 40 love.
Both players very comfortable on serve at the start of this third set so far. 2-1. Zverev. Because of his propensity to play long matches as well, I think he's got that inbuilt kind of emotion that you need, which is patience. He's always had a tendency to play longer matches. I think this is kind of right in his wheelhouse right now in terms of what's going on out here.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt. He's quite. You don't get a lot out of him. There's no doubt about that. I'd probably like a little bit more out of him when he's in front. You know, when he's there. And as I said, the presence isn't quite there as a big player for mine.
To get on the front foot in this match, though, he's going to have to use his feet. If he does have a little bit of a problem, then obviously that could be one of the reasons why. I mean, it's not obviously the way that he's tended to play. He has tended to try and wear players down, and he's tried to make a little bit of a change with his forehand where he's tried to play a little bit more parallel foot, so left foot forward, kind of in line with the right rather than being open stance. He's tried a few of that over the last sort of couple of years to try and get some improvement on this forehand win, but it hasn't been the way that he's tended to play too often. And clearly, with the lack of matches that he's had and the confidence that he will be in at the moment, he'll be hoping for a bit of a dip from Mmoh. Hasn't looked likely for the time being.
Hasn't used the coaching as well, the facility that's available to him. It's interesting that there's been no dialogue really about the game towards his group, and they've obviously decided that's not in play.
Love 15.
Margaret doesn't really give you a lot, does he, when he's sitting there? It's virtually that look.
Well, this is a moment that's developing out of nothing, really.
Love 30.
And this is what I'm talking about, where patience at times is just an action. You can continue to plug away, do the right things, just wait for the moment that when it arrives, that you're still in the right frame of mind to take it. Can Mmoh keep Zverev at bay?
15-30.
Well, it was a smart serve, wasn't he? He went into the forehand side.
Yes, the players are asking that the brightness of the LED boards at the back of the court are turned on. Down. Thank you.
So the LED boards are too bright?
Yeah. I didn't think it was there was a change, was there?
I think the lights have come on. I think that's the change, that the actual floodlights have come on, which is
correct,
reflecting off the LED board at the back.
And there's a person that hasn't
30 on.
Just hasn't played the volume of matches, not yet trusting his game again. And isn't it funny? It doesn't matter what the past has been and your history and the big matches that you've played. It's about what's happening in this moment.
Oh, that's too good. From there, it almost had to be a winner, and it was.
Game Mmoh.
Well, he was given the opportunity to rescue the situation courtesy of the missed backhand from Zverev, and he has done that so effectively and efficiently there, Mmoh.
Yeah, that was an extremely good close, wasn't it? And you can look back at that love 30 point and the return of serve from Zverev, the forehand that landed in the middle of the court and allowed Mmoh to get back in the winner's circle.
Love.
And you just think with those two first serves, that's the vital part for him, isn't it?
30 love.
First serve in, good opportunities on the second serve for the match. Petch, he's down at 32%, which is not a number that is going to get you a lot of wins.
Just 8 points, 1 out of 25 on his second serve, and here's another chance for Mmoh to go to work.
Let second service.
It's like he's reluctant to hit it long. Then he thought, no, I'm going after it. I've had enough. That was a frustrated second serve for sure.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen over the course of his career, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he'll hit 2 first serves.
Well, they're both giving each other opportunities throughout the rally. First of all, the approach shot from Zverev wasn't good enough to still be in the point, really. And then Mmoh had a forehand opportunity to pass and then just hit the ball back to Zverev at the net. So it's almost friendly fire. What do we get here? Do we get the express pace or?
Let me just get my crystal ball out. Yeah, it's well done. It's well covered. Definitely not sinking as much into his backhand as he normally does, Zverev. He's going for the slice backhand just to try and dig himself out of trouble. He's got one of the best backhands when he gets out wide. He can really sink down and drive through the two hands, but more often than not today, and you can see him just grabbing his left hamstring at the end of that particular move. He's having to chip his way out of that corner. No, he's probably going to be a little disappointed that he at least didn't find the forehand of Zverev, and he found the backhand because it puts the end to the game. Zverev leads 3-2. What a transformation this Melbourne Park has had in this wonderful sporting precinct that it is, and the close proximity as well. So many dreams and hopes out on the outside courts and around the grounds. John Cain Arena over there on the far side. 1573 just here on the backside of the Margaret Court Arena as well. And of course that is attached to the Rod Laver Arena. It is a magnificent facility, not just for the fans, but also for the players in there as well. And it's been a perfect start to the year for Michael Mmoh. Been grinding it out on the Challenger Tour, doing the best that he can do, and he has got a real opportunity here to continue riding up the rankings. Currently enjoying a career high ranking of 89 in the world on the live rankings, and he's about to go higher if he could potentially beat Zverev today. Got to question the logic a little bit here in terms of what Sasha's doing. I mean, he's clearly struggling a little bit with the injury. I don't want to take anything away from Michael because, I mean, it's kind of the way he plays, but he's not moving as well as he normally would. You get a second serve, surely he's got to start putting some pressure on him. I mean, Michael's walking away with 53% of points won on his second serve, 19 of 36. It's not as though it's just been a few that he's had to hit in there. He's hit 36 second serves. And Zverev is just not being impactful at all.
And you know what? Sometimes it's just hard for some players to break habits. They're stuck. They just naturally default into a system, and that's the way they're going to play. And
that's better.
We had urgency with his feet too. A couple of the backhands you could see they had the little steps. They were powerful, and then he was explosive onto the forehand, and that's what I think we're sitting here thinking. Where's more of that? Because that type of tennis shows some intent and purpose with your ball striking. Such a different player when he's got that look about him. And the longer Michael Mmoh can just hang around, keep the score ticking over, keep it level, build that scoreboard pressure, you just feel like there'll be an opportunity for him.
(40-30). Led, second service.
Well, he was asking a lot of his backhand. It's often produced for him, but once again, Michael Mmoh outlasting the German. And that has been one of the most significant changes as this match has worn on. He's felt more and more comfortable that Zverev can't hurt him. That's been a lifetime ago for Zverev in that run through to winning the Nitto ATP Tour Finals, that he beat the world's #1 and 2 ranked players back-to-back, Djokovic and Medvedev. It's not that long ago. Not an easy feat to do as well. Agassi achieved it in 1990, beat Becker, and then beat Edberg, who had lost to in the round-robin group. Lendl managing that particular feat as well. Back in '82, beat Jimmy Connors and Johnny Mack, and comfortably as well, it has to be said. They barely picked up games. Edberg managing it in '89, beating Lendl and then beating Becker, dropping just the one set. That's how good he was at the back end of 2021. But as he said to us at the United Cup, he's not necessarily a very patient person, and he wants it now. But you can see his best tennis is quite far away from him, and he's going to need to be careful about that shoelace as well. Doesn't want to be damaging that ankle again, but more pressing problems are the fact that Mmoh is looking to try. That's not ideal. Definitely more concerning than a shoelace.
15-30.
And with his opponent virtually sprinting to the other side after he played this shot. How big will that miss be? Over back.
30 all.
And hasn't Mmoh looked a lot more comfortable and actually just, I can redirect down the line there. I'm not really afraid of what's coming back.
That, though, is special. And there have been a few of those moments in this match, and most of them now are coming from Michael Mmoh's racket. Zverev just a little slow again off the backhand. Watch him, he's static. Little step, took too long to make up the distance. Look how far away he was still from the net after that approach shot. Mmoh explores the space, and he has a chance with the break point. Mmoh breaks.
Game, Mmoh.
And Zverev has given him a chance, and the American now is good enough to take
4
it.
games to 3.
4-3. Well, what a pass that was on the 30-all point. That was magnificent. It put the pressure on. And once again, a surprising move, it has to be said, from Zverev's perspective. But I think that's the change in the match that has happened here. Mmoh is outlasting Zverev suddenly in sets 2 and 3, which wasn't really the case in the opening set. And he's not panicking. So Zverev's the one that feels as though he needs to come in. And if you look at where he came in from, he gave him a big target. And Mmoh was not going to miss that to make life difficult. He was on the run. And that was a clever shot at the end there, Roger.
Yeah, it was. It just shows how comfortable he is, and he's trusting his skill set. And the beauty for Mmoh went, and you can see there he's a happy man. And why wouldn't he be? He can feel the momentum has shifted on his side of the court. The beauty with Mmoh when Zverev comes in onto the backhand as well is it's such a simple shot. Just take back, make impact on the ball. So what a moment for Mmoh.
Well, you have to say that he's looked very calm throughout this contest. It hasn't been too big a moment for him and an opportunity.
It feels like to me, I'm not sure about you, Mark, but what we're seeing unfold is that unless Zverev's game just accelerates and finds a different level, you feel it's all in the hands of Mmoh right now, just with what's taking place. There's comfort on his side of the court. Good finish. Put himself under a little bit of pressure because he went to the forehand wing of Mmoh on the pass here. So there was always going to be a swing at this ball. But that was a quality volley at the end. Got down, respected it.
Led for service. Ball. Out. 30-15.
It's a hard position to be in up there, isn't it, when the player looks at you and says, what's going on?
Tertial.
192, but didn't have the direction. That was a better ball strike from the German.
30,
Stepped up on that ball and decided to take control of the point. A bit more authority, purpose. And when you do that, it gives you some simplicity on the tennis court. There's a bit more clarity when you decide to get after the ball.
He's got lucky. Zverev playing some of the best tennis that he's played for a while. But
Yes.
Mmoh with a little tip off the tape keeps him at bay for the moment.
He has definitely left at his level. This has been a better game from Zverev for sure. And there's the ability to have a simple back take.
Advantage, Zverev.
Not sure if that was the first signs of a few nerves. I'm in front. Hasn't missed too many of those over the last hour.
Ball.
The dead leg cord. Well, he turns around to his
Yes.
team again and you can't believe it. 2 tapes in a row on break points. Will it be the Americans' day? It has been so far for the rest of his countrymen.
Ball.
Drifted wide. The pressure continues to be sustained on Mmoh's service game there.
Advantage, Zverev.
And Zverev's doing a good job of forcing himself to be proactive, positive, taking the ball early. This is a real push from him.
Ball.
Deuce.
Well, he created that, Mmoh. He serves a second serve, decides to serve volley. Zverev has one eye on his opponent, and you could see there, and that created the miss hit. What a change up at that point from Mmoh.
Advantage, Mmoh. Game, Mmoh.
He is euphoric. And on the other side of the court, a complete contrast in emotions, and he must feel as though he has been robbed out there, Sasha Zverev. That time, it had nothing to do with his tennis and everything to do with the net. And he is very unfortunate to find himself serving a stay in this third set. But credit to Michael Mmoh. He has allowed his serve to deliver. And triumph may still well be his today.
Ball.
I'll tell you what.
Have a look at that for confidence.
Love 15.
Well, he tried to do that at a little bit of an inopportune time at the end of the second set, but he's done it there on the first point here.
Ball.
It's almost like a free swing, isn't it? You're 5-3 up, you just got out a tough game.
Everything he's been touching has turned to gold. This man certainly has not got that golden touch as he had back in 2021.
And he's got a good awareness of now of his opponent and what's going on his side of the court. The frustration, the unforced errors. There's another one.
Love 14.
So that's number 12. Mark, in this set, that's a big number, isn't it? For the quality of the athlete.
Triple set point.
15-14.
How quickly things can change around as well. Change around there. Zverev, having won the opening set, drops the next two. And he has got to win the next two. if he is going to sustain his stay in Melbourne for much longer.
Well, you just got to stand and applaud Michael Mmoh, don't you? I mean, this has been a remarkable turnaround. I'll go back to it again. We were trying to work out where a win could come from. How could he create or dent Zverev? But he's proved us wrong. And there's also been a lot of assistance from his opponent. There's no doubt about that. If you look at Michael Mmoh, he served 55% in the first serves. If you've got a solid player up the other end, you're generally in a bit of trouble. But he was effective by keeping a lot of balls in play, limiting his unforced errors. There were only 6 there, 13 on the other side of the court, and that accumulative effect of unforced errors, just there's some wear and tear attached mentally and emotionally on Zverev's side of the court when that happens. And as the set went through its gears early on, Michael Mmoh grew and grew in confidence in what he was able to do with the ball, freely hitting shots in all parts of the court. And now finds himself in a remarkable position at 2-1 up.
Game and third sets. Mmoh, 6 games to 3.
That is a lovely looking smile for a man that lost in qualifying. He now finds himself just one set away from being in the third round of a major for the very first time in his career. And that is what makes these big tournaments so special. So many opportunities for players, so many different personalities and characters potentially that can come through, and from having such a bright future from being the world #2 in juniors as well, and just having some injuries and some problems to overcome. This would be such a wonderful moment for Michael Mmoh. 25 years of age, same age as Zverev. Zverev with a lot more experience of being in these situations. Can he use that to his advantage? The one thing that he's going to have to obviously do is just try not to think about the possibility on offer here at the start of the fourth set.
It's a big opening, isn't it? This is enormous. You're serving first, you're 2-1 up. If you can just hang on to these first couple of opening service games,
Led for service.
they are like gold right now.
Just looking at his record in the tour events that he's played, Roger, on second serve, 45%, which doesn't surprise me, to be honest. That seems the sort of number that he's going to be able to defend his second serve with in general. And if you were sitting in the Zverev camp, that's probably where you feel as though there hasn't been enough good work done. We've touched on it a little bit, but almost 60% of his second serve points won for Michael Mmoh today.
And that is an elite number, isn't it, on the tour?
There will be nobody out there at the moment that has a better career record than 59%.
Third C15.
So you're sitting in the Zverev camp, Mark. What's your call? Bruguera's got a minute with him.
Well, I think he's got to shift his... I honestly think he's got to shift on the second serve. He's got to give him a different look. He can't keep letting him be comfortable on that second serve. And he's got to get him to move before he gets moved, because he's not as good out the corners at the moment. Whether that's got something to do with the ankle or the hamstring, I don't know, or just pure confidence, because we know confidence makes you move better as well. In its most simplistic form, and it's not easy just to make that happen every time. That is what he's got to be looking to do. Rafa, incidentally, the best record on second serve points won at 57%. And that's across all surfaces. Rafa, even on a hard court, had 57%, the best of all time. It's not as good as Michael Mmoh, though.
40-30. Game on.
That's a huge save. And a great
First
opening
game,
for the American.
fourth set.
Box 1 ticked. Clear the first game of the fourth.
Yeah, there's so many things that are mingling around, I'm sure, in his head. Biggest win of his career. Furthest he's moved through a Grand Slam draw. What it means in terms of his ranking as well, as we say, up to 89 in the world, career high at the moment for him. And of course further opportunity as well. It's not as though he's going to stop, but the win predictor is going to give it to Michael Mmoh at the moment, and understandably overwhelmingly in favour of Zverev at the start of the match, as he does now start to try and pick Sergi Bruguera's brain and his dad, and obviously wants something from them as well. One of the other differences here, apart from the fact that maybe he's fatiguing as well, you can see here Michael Mmoh looking to get his forehand into play, looking to hunt for that forehand, compared to Zverev, who's very happy to try and use his backhand as his first shot. It's not as easy to redirect with your backhand. As good as Zverev's backhand is, your forehand, you can go both ways, inside out, inside in, a lot more frequently. Your backhand will tend to go cross-court and with less pace.
Oh, that's a beauty. That is a person who is full of confidence. The tank is full. Have a look at this. Normally he'd stay back there, Michael Mmoh, but right here he steps in on the ball, takes it on the rise and drives back behind Zverev.
Oh, he's glued one to the line. Zverev can't believe it. He's looking up at his box.
Mr. Zverev looking at the replay of the call on the left baseline.
Well, like I said yesterday, this is like having a staring contest with the sun. You're never going to win it.
No, and the only reason you'll get a no call is if it misses by the margin's too big.
Love 30.
Okay, some real trouble here. This becomes an enormous first serve that needs to land.
Out. 15-30.
Just having a look at Michael's ranking. If he were to win here, he would reside just outside the world's sort of top 80. So a big move for him as well. That gives him a little bit more of a buffer than he's currently sitting with right now as well. Well, a little distraction from the bird that flew right under and around the net there for Zverev, and he doesn't need any distractions at the moment. He's got his hands full.
Yeah, what about the direction of that? That was a second serve sliding ball down the middle. I mean, talking about risky low percentage play on a serve where you're already extremely vulnerable.
30-40.
Breathe a little with that ace.
chance because he could get his racket on it, but Zverev doing enough for the moment.
Deuce.
Wasn't convincing, doesn't need to be, you just need to get the win.
Drops in, dropped like a stone.
Advantage. Zverev.
And in amongst the rubble of his Australian Open campaign right now for Sasha Zverev, perhaps just a glimmer of hope.
Deuce.
He's got him. It was kind of a nightmare ball for Zverev, and he couldn't get it up and down quickly enough, and Mmoh's got enough speed that he can stay balanced and doesn't have to guess.
Advantage.
And he was
Mmoh.
always going to get a look at what was coming.
And his speed's been a great asset, hasn't it, Mark? Because it's given him some comfort on the court. He's able to track down all the balls. He defends really well. And because there's not much pace off the Zverev ground strokes, it's giving him an ability to get in place and play his shots most times.
Cain, Mmoh. New balls, please.
Zach Everton, coach,
Mmoh leads 2 games to
will
love.
be infused with even greater belief now at the start of the 4 sets as his man gets the break. And a disconsolate Zverev trudges to the bench.
You've got to give him credit, Mo, because what he's been able to do also, we thought early in the match he was doing, it was quite strange because he was chipping the second serve back when the ball wasn't travelling too fast. He's done a good job of getting a lot of first balls back if he's got his racket to it, just making sure he blocks them back, puts them in play, relies on his ability with his movement to defend the ball. So it's been a credit to him on that. At the moment, you would say that Michael Mmoh is using all his skills that are available to him in a positive way.
Be interesting to get the number for how many forehands he's missed in the net today compared to how many he's missed longer. I would think it's probably more than 50% today. just on the eye test, which is never optimal, but I kind of feel that it might be not far off. Apart from the second serve, that would be something that I would be seriously working on.
I think it's both those two are red flags, and they've got a spotlight on them.
Well, it won't make it easy when you've got the reputation and you've had the career that Zverev has had so far. You do not like to lose. You do not like to get a player to get a win over you, no matter the circumstances, and he will fight to the end. Mmoh is going to have to be as good as he has been, if not better.
Fault. 15-30.
Has he had a little look at the scoreboard? Hard not to, Pat.
Hard not to. Hard not to.
And you don't blame him if he has.
Game Zverev.
Zverev quickly back into this fourth set, and perhaps he just can sense just a little fear of the possibility in front of Michael Mmoh there getting to him. 2-1 still to the American. Well, credit to Zverev there, to be fair, because it would have been easy for him to have dropped his head and not been in the right headspace to have taken the opportunity that ultimately presented itself to him. And while Michael Mmoh can hold his head up very high, 3 hours of play here, he's still in a situation that had you given it to him at the start of the match, he would have signed on the dotted line, no question about it. And as much as you always want things to go as perfectly as they can, this is about as perfect as it could have been, to be honest, for him. But Zverev with a new lease of life.
Yeah, look, he stays present. That was the really important thing. Mmoh, a couple of double faults in that game. The one at 15 all was not brilliant. It got him behind the count, built some pressure. Quality point for Zverev following, and then that double fault as well. But as you said, you don't blame him.
He's played a lot of five-setters already in his young career, 28 already for Zverev in his career, and that was courtesy of how many he had early on as well. He's won 18, lost 10. He doesn't mind going the distance. Already went the distance in his opening round match, of course, dug it out 7-6 in the tiebreaker in the fourth before winning the fifth 6-4. Same as Mmoh, came from 2 sets to love down. They've both got form, recent form, in going the distance and potentially winning.
was exhausting.
Love 15.
That was exhausting, and Michael Mmoh did a great job of just keeping his poise. Had to defend hard. You could see the legs would have been hurting, and then he thought, well, I think I need to finish that off. 40-shot rally, and as we've seen throughout the course of the second and third set, Mmoh's been coming up trumps in the extended rallies.
That's one that's gone Zverev's way. They're not far off each other, but Mmoh has just edged it so far once it's gone over 9 shots. 22 rallies won to 19. That the 19th that Zverev's won. He's digging in here, the German, though, isn't he? He's going to make himself as difficult to beat as he can. Well, this is something you'll know about, Roger, the hard work, the hard yards. And, of course, Mmoh's been doing an awful lot of it out there, but successfully.
Yeah, it's part of his game, isn't it, to defend hard? There's some physical battles being played right now.
40-30.
They can have a hangover effect as the match goes on, and if it gets into the 5th set, right now they're both being challenged a little physically. We know that Zverev's been through this type of tennis over and over again and has come out on the winning end quite a few times.
Game Zverev.
Well, it's not always a 100-meter dash that you turn into for the Olympics, is it? Sometimes it's the marathon, and it suddenly builds as you get towards, you know, mile 22, 23, 24. And this has had a little bit of that. And the crowd that have stayed, that have invested over 3 hours already in this contest, you can tell, are now suddenly hugely engaged in the fortunes, actually, of Sasha Zverev. They suddenly want him to start coming back, and Michael Mmoh's going to have to deal with that a little bit down the final stretch here.
Fault.
Electrifying. And he's come to life.
never
Love 15.
didn't know that was in him. We were waiting for something like this. We're waiting for this type of emotion to come out right here. Will that be the releaser? Good comeback from Michael Mmoh. Stepped up on a couple of those balls there and
15 all.
accelerated. This is when the Americans got to push back as well.
Out. 30-15.
Momentum's funny, isn't it? Once you get it, you've got to hold it, because it only lasts for a small period, and Michael Mmoh had that momentum. Giving that break back has just leveled things out.
40-15. Out. 40-30.
That's a big hold. Every hold is going to be so valuable, and finding a nice first serve there. And after that forehand pass, Zverev thought that perhaps the comeback was on there. It wasn't. Mmoh keeps him at bay. I'm excited to see what's going to happen over the next sort of 20 minutes of this fourth set as well. Is it going to be Michael Mmoh coming up and firing up? Is it going to be Sasha allowing him to play, or is Sasha going to find the kind of form that took him to winning the ATP finals back in 2021? And of course prior to that as well. So he has certainly got the caliber of shot making out here, but Mmoh is suddenly a believer in himself.
Yeah, Patch, that was an enormous game. Just to settle the ship again, just keep ahead in the score on the scoreboard, build that scoreboard pressure. But you do feel like for Zverev, there's definitely there's been an there's an uplift in his game.
Time.
Gets tougher for him though, Roger, doesn't it? As the more he holds serve, but Mmoh holds serve, and then suddenly you just cannot make any errors, and the forehand, which hasn't been firing as consistently you would like, perhaps just becomes again a little more vulnerable, and Mmoh can take advantage of that. And for somebody that's played as much tennis as he has, he's been around tennis, he's been at the IMG Academy, and these are the moments that he's been dreaming of. They have seemed elusive for Michael Mmoh for so many years now, not just because of his performances in the line, but because of the physical struggles that he's had. But he is tantalizingly close, the biggest win of his career. He's got to manage those emotions and an opponent who can be world class.
Ball. Ball.
Love 15.
2:02 second serve.
Who does he think he is? Maxime Cressy?
I mean, that was a big point to that shows what's going on through the mind of Zverev right now.
Fault. Fault.
Oh my goodness me.
Love 30.
70-kilometre difference between those two serves. No wonder he's confused.
I'm just finding it hard that if you ask him to hit a first serve at three-quarter pace at 175 kilometres, I bet you he could do it virtually every time. So why doesn't he adopt that as his second serve in his mind?
(15-30).
I know it's not as easy as that. I'm not suggesting that's, you know, he's thinking clearly out there, but
Oh, a little body English off the back of it just gave it a little more elevation. And Zverev going nowhere in another lengthy exchange. And once again, we see how comfortable Mmoh is in these surroundings and playing this opponent. And he's the one that has had just a little more creativity at the back end of those points. And it just goes to show how important the last service game to keep Zverev at bay was. 2 break points.
I'm nervous.
Well, after what we've seen in this game, this is another opportunity to serve a double for Zverev. 10 already in the match. Oh, and the two things that have been his Achilles heel today, the second serve and the forehand, have bailed him out of the first break point. Credit to him.
30-40.
And this is where, if you're a Zverev fan, you hold your breath.
Take two.
Game, Mmoh. Mmoh leads 4 games to 2.
You can't even begin to try and imagine the turmoil he is under mentally trying to hit a second serve in those situations.
No, I'm confused, though. I really am.
I've never seen such a great player with such a significant deficiency in their game. And I'm going to be very interested to see how he can solve it. Roger, I said the other day that I would make it technical in his head because I think it's becoming mental, obviously mental when you see that last game, but I would try and change something with the ball toss, lowering it, make it technical to try and get it out of his head. And I would take a bit of time away from the game after this to really fix it once and for all. Boy, that is a sturdy response.
And then it's hard.
15-all.
What the hardest part is to actually just lock back and just fold back and focus on the game itself when the ball's in play. You know, your energy is definitely being consumed with other thoughts, and so just like even on that forehand there, that was to be able to lock down and play a point like that. It shows how tough he is actually through the mind.
Fault.
And he continues to fight.
15-13.
And for the American, well, it's one thing to get yourself near the finish line. Stepping over it is probably the hardest part in our game, isn't it? When you're playing a big name player, you're on a big court at a major event. For Sasha's dad, it'd be so tough because it's his son. You know, it's not. At the end of the day, it ends up not being about the game. It's your son on the court going through the heartache.
That was brave. And the outcome was exactly what Mmoh wanted.
40-30.
And there is Sasha's dad. Player and a very good player in his own right. The most amazing rally ever. Oh, and what a moment to produce that for Michael Mmoh. One more game for the biggest win of his life. And he was upset, wasn't he, Roger, because he thought that it was a double bounce.
Yeah, 100%. He stopped,
yeah,
and looked around and looked at the chair, and then he had the ability to engage himself back in a challenge and finish with that incredible volley, the reflex.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Can we get it from this camera angle? Oh, that looks like a two-bouncer.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
That looks like he scooped that back over. I don't think, to be fair, that's one of those rare occasions where I don't know if Sasha would have known that he didn't get that because it didn't bounce into the court and topspin up.
Agreed.
It kind of went up in the way that you would have thought it would have done. Look at that reaction. That is iconic. Well, he's been serving aces like his namesake was dropping three-pointers in the mid-90s, Michael Jordan. But this is Michael Mmoh's airtime. And it's his time. And from an unlikely start, he has found himself within just 4 points of a place in the third round.
15 love.
Can he do it here? He would love to do it here if you're Michael Mmoh. Take away all the, I guess, the nerves of serving it out. And what a good, clear thinking point that was. Ball was short enough,
15-13.
leans on it, comes in and challenges his opponent, who's under a lot of duress.
Ball. Ball.
30-14.
This is it. This is what he strives his whole life for, a moment like this, an opportunity like this. It's match point. Momentous.
6-7, 6-4, 6-3, 6-2.
What a magnificent day here in Melbourne for Michael Mmoh. The lucky loser, the man that had booked his plane ticket back to America. The man that found out just a couple of hours that he was going to be given an opportunity to play. The man that was down match point in the first round. The man who is now in the third round of the Australian Open and the third round of any major for the very first time in his career, and the fifth lucky loser to do it here in Australia to get through to the third round. What an amazing, amazing moment for him, Roger.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to take your hat off to him. He was calm, he was calculated, he stayed in the contest even after the first set, and he just was loving the moment. You could see he was growing as the time clicked over right throughout that 3 hour and 26 match, and full credit for him. And And he's obviously got a lot of respect for this man who, well, he's going to be back. He's got a bit of soul searching to do, and he didn't have his best day out in the court. Fought some demons, and there's more to fight, but we know we'll see a lot more of Sasha Zverev in the future. But right now, it's about this American who's riding the American wave, isn't he, right here at the Australian Open?
Yeah, it's just been an amazing, I think this may be the record number of American male players at any Grand Slam at this stage of the tournament. We'll have to find out about that, but he takes on another American, JJ Wolf, who he's played a couple of times before in Challengers. Let's listen to what he's got to say.
Michael Mmoh, a couple of days ago, you had your plane trip booked back to the USA after qualifying, get the call up as a lucky loser, and now for the first time in your career, you're through to the third round of a Grand Slam.
Yeah, I mean, you know, life is crazy. Life is crazy. You know, right when you think everything is looking dim, everything is looking dark, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and, you know, my week is proof of that. And, you know, I could have easily been in the States right now. I was ready to go to the States. I was packing my bag. I had my flight booked. I was actually supposed to leave yesterday morning. So the fact that I'm still here playing on Margaret Court in front of you guys is, it's insane.
This crowd already loves you, but tell this crowd about your Australian experience and your Australian connection.
Yeah, so if you look at my box over there, there's about 5 to 7 Aussies, and they're all my cousins. I used to come every single Christmas to visit them and their family. Unfortunately, my mom couldn't be here. It's from my mom's side of the family, but I feel like I'm half Australian because of them, and I love you guys.
I think you might have a new fan base now as well. Talk to us about the mental strength, though, that you needed to apply, as well as the physical game. Sasha was at the other end. He had issues to deal with, but your own mind game.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, this is obviously the biggest win of my career, hands down, the biggest moment of my career. You know, coming out, I definitely felt the nerves a little bit, but, you know, I felt like I settled down at the end of the first, and, you know, at that point, like, I was telling myself, I shouldn't even be here, to be honest. Like, I'm lucky to be at this point, so the last thing I want to do is not go for it when I have the chance, and, you know, that's why I told myself on the match point, if I get a ball, just go for it. You're not even supposed to be here.
Well, the stats say you are supposed to be here, and you are here, and you are into the third round. Are the shackles now off? Are you just going to swing and go for it now?
Yeah, I mean, this is like my second home now, so, you know, might as well make it a homecoming.
Congratulations, Michael Mmoh, through to the third round for the first time in his career. Margaret Court Arena, a show of appreciation.
Yeah, as was alluded to there, his mum Geraldine coming here in December 2016, which is why it is a second home for Michael here in Melbourne. And he has found himself very comfortable at this particular tournament in the past, but he has made a move to a place that he's never done before in the third round of a major. And you just never know. JJ Wolf on the other side of this one now as well. Two Americans, they know each other well. There's going to be pressure on JJ as well as for Michael. And as you say, Michael's almost, well, I shouldn't have been here anyway.
Well, I mean, what an opportunity for both. Yep, life is crazy. Exactly. You never know. You just got to stay alive. And what a great opportunity for both players, Petch. JJ Wolf, who took out Schwartzman, played really strong in straight sets there. But next time he walks on the court, it may be a little bit different because he's going to feel like this may be my time. What a beautiful moment.
Say that again. That just gave me a bit of a lump. You know when someone has been great and they're trying to get through from the juniors to the seniors, and how tricky that must have been for him in the last 7 years since it didn't really happen. You know, to see his family, to do it in front of family, to do it in front of cousins is just incredible for him. And I don't know him well at all, but he comes across as an incredibly authentic, kind person that is